time to say the name. Say the name. Cannon Hinnant. A 5-year-old boy shot in the head by his neighbor who had interacted with him, who knew him, because the boy was driving his bicycle over his lawn. Back to that story in just 1 second. The New York Times, the Washington Post, and all the mainstream media outlets on the left spent how much time narrating and discussing the Coopers. Christian, a black birdwatcher who was in disagreement with fellow Cooper. Amy, a white female dog walker who had threatened to call the police, telling them that she was being threatened by a black man. Not a good look, not a great thing. How much coverage did that get from the mainstream media? The New York Times, a quick Google search yields 10 columns from them and 7 from the Washington Compost. Why was it reported? Because it fit a narrative, a racist incident directed at a black man by a white woman. Fits the narrative to the T that the activists were trying to convey to the public. This is Donald Trump's America. Yet when the black neighbor, who the previous evening had enjoyed a beer with the father, had had dinner with the family, and the next day shoots in the head a 5-year-old boy for riding his bicycle over his lawn, apparently, where's the coverage of that? Zero, zippo, nothing. But again, they do cover the bird watcher in Central Park, who had been threatened to have the police called on him. But a cold-blooded murder, that's not reported. The question that I have for you is, do you think that the New York Times might have reported it? I'm just conjecturing here. Raise your hand if you think that's the case. Do you think that they would have reported it had the races been reversed and a white man had shot a 5-year-old black boy? Of course they would. Those of you out there in Washerville, the answer is either 100% of you raised your arms or 110% of you, because some of you raised both of them at one time. Yet according to the New York Times and the Washington Compost, it doesn't deserve any ink. I know that for postmodernists, it's difficult to tell which crime is more worthy of condemnation and media attention because it's all relative, there is no truth, but it absolutely demonstrates just how biased the media is and the narrative that they are trying to portray. The division that they are intentionally trying to create within the United States of America. And do you not think that all this negative attention that is being paid to racial relations and the narrative that whitey is inhibiting black progress over and over again, that the white cops are killing only black men, that this never happens to anybody else, that the fault of the progress of modern day black America is merely the result of white people keeping them down intentionally? Do you not think that this might have seeped into this mind who was able to go out and murder in cold blood by shooting him in the head a young 5-year-old neighbor boy? Do you not think that this might have been the catalyst which allowed him to justify his pulling of the trigger in that moment? Do you not think that the activist media outlets aren't responsible for people engaging in felonious and violent behavior towards their fellow citizens because they feel emboldened, because they are told over and over that they are victims based on the media coverage, and being repeatedly told that the only reason they aren't successful is because whitey is keeping them down? Push that head down into the sand. That's exactly what they're portraying. And I absolutely mean it. These far-left hacktivists, propagandistic media outlets are culpable in the violence and destruction that is continuing to take place in the United States of America. And the truth is that many of them are absolutely aware of this. They absolutely know this. And I was talking to a friend of mine by the name of Jason this morning, who is very centrist in many of his opinions. And he told me that America is now screwed because now people on the right are saying that this crime was necessarily racist. And it might have been. We don't know that it was, but it very well might have been. Again, the possibility of the media narrative seeping into this man's mind and infecting it as an idea pathogen and having helped catalyze this event is very likely, in my opinion. But nevertheless, the people on the right are starting to call this out. And now you have this big racial divide in our country, this big wall between races. You want to talk about a border wall? This is a racial wall that has now been erected by the New York Times, by the Washington Compost, by CNN, and everybody else that talks nonstop about race. Instead of bringing us together like Martin Luther King did, they are intentionally dividing us, because with division, you have chaos. With chaos, you have a weak country that can then be taken over, that then is ripe for a new ideology to come into being, whether that be communism and China eventually taking over the world, as they are trying to do, and part of that is sowing discord within the United States of America. And if so, media, well done. I really would love to see where the money is coming from. Who is paying for this activism on your part? Is it coming from Chinese coffers? Are they sending funds into your account to enable this media coverage? Because if it is China that is in fact paying these media outlets, then whoever's in charge of the strategy deserves commendation, whereas our media deserves condemnation. And I do believe, unfortunately, that this is a sincere possibility. If you just look at the incentives involved, again, all you have to do is follow the incentives. They want Trump out of office. China definitely does. Trump is tough on China. Therefore, one way to get Trump evicted from office is to do something like this: divide America by race, create massive chaos, and then you blame the incumbent politician for what's taken place. Unfortunately, you have to examine the possibilities and then discount them. But nevertheless, we have never seen so much racial tension in the United States. This is Martin Luther King's dream? No, this is his nightmare. I can honestly tell you that I unfortunately believe that we are further down the road towards being a society divided along racial lines than at any point in my life. I have never heard so many people discussing race. I have never heard it be of such great importance than it is today. And yes, I do blame the New York Times. I do blame the Washington Compost. How dare you not report on this? And again, do you not think that they would have reported on this had the races been reversed and the neighbor who shot the 5-year-old boy had been white and the 5-year-old boy had been black? Of course you would. And that is the shame of it all. This is where the hypocrisy is so deep, even the people on the left can see it. And this is what I invite them to do. See the reality of the situation and deny the New York Times and Washington Post as part of your life. Excommunicate them. If you have a subscription, cancel them. I cannot read their articles anymore. The fact is that this should be very broad news. If Amy Cooper versus Christian Cooper is such huge news that it deserves so much airtime, and this gets very, very little and none from the left-wing outlets almost, then we are in deep doo-doo as a nation. Let's heal this. Let's be aware of this, because the first step is awareness. So look, go ahead and share this video with your friends. Please give it a thumbs up. And if you subscribe, make sure to hit the notification bell, because that will make you aware of when new videos come out, which is most days of the week. Peace and blessings to everybody out there. I hope you have a great day. Again, let's just raise our awareness, raise our consciousness, and at least face the reality of what the New York Times and the Washington Post are. They're activist media outlets, propagandistic, communist rags, trash. Peace and blessings, everybody.